Hi, welcome to this episode of Human Wreckage. My name is Thomas. Today we're going to be talking about Susan Cox, her husband Josh Powell, and their very strange and messed up father-in-law, Steve Powell. So let's get into it. Susan Cox married her boyfriend Josh Powell in 2001, but she did not know that her boyfriend and father-in-law were psychosexual. Josh's father, Steve Powell, had the habit of recording girls' bodies without their consent or knowledge. He was also fond of watching very disturbing porn videos. Susan and Josh were living in a rented apartment in Tacoma after marriage away from Steve, which I can't blame him on that one. Unfortunately, they were kicked out of that apartment for not paying the rent, so they had to shift back into Steve Powell's home in South Hill, Washington. That was the time when Steve became overly obsessive with his daughter-in-law. He was doing all these inappropriate things, like recording videos of Susan, stealing her underwear, and keeping Susan's used hygiene products in plastic bags. Quite odd. He also used a mirror to look at Susan in the washroom. He admitted all of this in his journals.
I just had what is probably the most erotic experience I've had in my entire life. I hate to say it, I mean, of course, because I haven't had that many experiences, but Susan has been feeling ill. She had a cold, and I offered to rub her feet, to rub her toes, to give her some stimulation. That went on. I probably rubbed her feet, her toes, her beautiful feet. She has such pretty feet. Of course, everything about her is pretty, beautiful. And I know she felt it. I mean, she couldn't have missed it. She's not naive either, I know from what I've read in her journals. That girl is not naive. When I started massaging her legs, I would have loved to go all the way up her legs, but I did do her calves because her feet were resting in my crotch, so I sort of rubbed her calves. She didn't seem to mind at all having me that close. I mean, I was close. I was touching her with my crotch. Then I just started rubbing her back and her neck and her shoulders. I didn't want to push my luck. Josh was sitting across the room on the chair, and he wasn't always watching, so I sort of took liberties as he didn't watch. And you know, I put my hands around the front, and I did feel her breasts, at least to some degree. I didn't put my hands, and I didn't cup my hands over them, but I felt the sides and a little bit on the underneath, and she had an underwire bra on, wow. And yeah. It's hard to remember everything I did. And I love that woman. She is so beautiful. I can't even get enough of her. Can't get enough of looking at her. She's so pretty. And I held her arm and I held her hand. I cupped her hand in mine, her beautiful little hands. And I rubbed her forearm and I massaged it all up and down. Massaged it for a long time. I went up her sleeve. And she didn't even mind. She seemed to enjoy it. I mean, I slipped my hand up inside of her sleeve and I had it over here, and I was massaging her shoulder blade, and I was right here, just above her breast.
That was very disturbing. Okay, moving on and trying to clear my brain of that video. So they eventually moved back into another apartment in West Valley City after some time. The actions of Susan's husband were also shady. Nice family, huh? She married into. As the couple were going through difficult financial and marital times, she noticed a strange behavior and wrote a secret will and recorded all her valuables on camera to keep a record. Now, if you're in a marriage and you're keeping a secret will and recording all your valuables because you're scared your husband's going to steal or sell them, maybe you need to get out of that marriage right away. She was probably thinking about divorce because she was afraid that her husband could kill her. Wow. However, before taking any action to protect herself, she went missing on December 6, 2009. On that date, Josh and Susan did not drop their kids off to daycare as they usually did around 9 a.m. So the daycare called both Susan and Josh, and they didn't answer their phones. So then they called Josh's mom and sister, who immediately informed the police. Police took quick action and went to their home at about noontime of the same day. The home was empty, and 2 fans were positioned to dry a damp sofa. Odd. On the same day, Josh and the boys returned home about 5 p.m. The police took them in for interviews right away. Their sons were 2 and 4 at the time. Josh Powell claimed that he had taken the children camping at 2 a.m. on a night before in the cold, while Susan was supposedly sleeping at home. Officers now have the task of finding Susan. Her family and friends said she would never willingly walk away from her children, like most of us. She also did not show up to her work that day. There was no forceful entry into their home, and neither jewelry nor credit cards were missing. According to the detectives, even her ID, keys, purse, and cash were still in the bedroom on the dresser. Police again asked Josh about Susan, but he said he didn't know anything about her. It's just his wife. Why would he know? However, it was a bit confusing that a father took his 2- and 4-year-old children out of bed at 2 a.m. to go camping in sub-freezing cold. When detectives asked the reason for doing so on a Monday, Josh said, "Oh, he forgot it was Monday. He thought it was Sunday." That's also the reason why he didn't show up to work that day. Police then asked to check his minivan, and he gave them permission.
I just spoke with some of our other detectives, and you're going to have to wait here with us. You're not going to go anywhere. One of our detectives just interviewed your children, and your children are telling our detectives that Mom went with you guys last night and that she didn't come back.
She did not go with us.
Okay, well, with that, just getting that information, you're not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to let you leave. I'm going to detain you. You sit right here. If you want a lawyer and you want to talk, or you want to change your mind and talk, or take a CBSA test, then we can do those things. But
now with that in mind,
They know that she didn't go with us.
well, here's the thing. Kids are very honest. That's one thing I've learned in the years of doing this job. That when kids talk to us, we'll listen because they're honest. And they never lie. They don't make things up. So if they're saying they were with you, they were with you. Okay? I mean, she was with you. So I have to believe the kids. So now it's going to be up to you if you want to help us find her and help us get to the bottom of what really happened here. That's what we're here for, okay? We're going to find out either way, with your help or without your help. I honestly don't need your help. I feel confident enough in my investigation and his investigation and everybody else involved. We have great detectives in this department that will find out what happened. We'll get to the bottom of this with your help or without your help. So I want to give you the opportunity to help us and tell us what really happened. Because you're the only one that knows.
Nothing that happened. She was not with us. And if my kids said that...
So your kids lie then? Do your kids lie?
Sometimes they do. I mean, if they said that she was with us, they know that's not true.
So if they
And
say...
if they said that she was with us, then I guess that would put her out in the Pony Express.
Okay, and that's my concern. That's our concern. It is cold outside. And if there's any way we can help her, we can help her right now if you help us out.
No, she was not with us. I didn't leave her at the Pony Express. I didn't just take her out and drop her off or even do anything.
Okay. Let's go back to the rights real quick. You're not leaving either way. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to have you answer some questions for us. Because you can't leave either way. But what I want you to be aware of is, do you have rights? Okay? And it would probably be to your best interest to listen to these rights.
Well,
he's going to read to you.
okay, but I do want the lawyer, because at this point, I definitely want the lawyer.
Police discovered interesting things in his minivan that made Josh Powell the person of interest in the case of missing Susan Powell. Officers found a hidden mobile phone with a SIM card removed in the van. Officer Ellis interviewed Josh Powell for about 4 hours. She also took pictures of his hands that had small cuts on them. Charlie and Braden were also interviewed at South Valley Children's Justice Center. Charlie Powell said his mom had gone camping with them, but stayed behind in the place with the flowers and pretty crystals. That is pretty disturbing right there. And by the way, remember that wet couch that someone was trying to dry with fans? Upon investigation, the police found bloodstains belonging to Susan Powell. Police then went to interview Steve in case he knew something. At that time, the only suspect was Susan's husband. When police interviewed Steve Powell, he had an awkward conversation about his daughter-in-law. He told police about his love confession, and the interview was very awkward to the police. Police searched his home and discovered the disturbing proof in the form of video recordings and journals. The involvement of Josh in his wife's disappearance was never proven solidly. All the details and key pieces shed some light on the possibilities of her forced disappearance. Additionally, she had written in her secret that if she died, it would be murdered, and even if it didn't look like murder, it was. In January 2010, Josh and his sons moved in with their father, Steve. Stephen Powell was arrested on September 2011 for possession of child pornography, leading to Susan Powell's parents gaining custody of the boys. To regain custody, Josh had to undergo a psychosexual evaluation and a polygraph test. On February 5th, before the scheduled test, a social worker took the boys to meet their father. Josh allowed his sons into the house but prevented the social worker from entering, prompting her to call the police. Moments later, she smelled gasoline and Josh ignited a massive blaze in the house. Josh Powell exploded his home and killed himself and his 2 children. Authorities said it was a pre-planned murder because Josh gave away all the toys of his children to Goodwill on the weekend before. To this day, police have not found Susan or Susan's remains, but she is presumed dead. It's the end of this episode of Human Wreckage. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to our channel. Our hearts really go out to Susan and her children. All she wanted was a normal life and to be happy, and what she ended up was to fall into the Powell family. As far as Josh, he's a douchebag, and as for his dad, Stephen, I could probably do many episodes on that guy. But I won't, because I can never watch that disturbing video again or even give him a second thought. Take care of yourselves out there. We'll see you next time, and we appreciate the support. Thank you.